This video will give you an overview of the GivEnergy portal. This is an alternative to the app and gives you more in-depth information and features. First, go to givenergy.cloud. Click I am a customer and click continue. And then enter your same username and password that you use for the app. Click login and then we can see the dashboard. As each person can configure the dashboard to their own preferences, each one will look different. On the left side, you'll notice we've got power graph, my EV charger, energy graph, and if I scroll down a bit further, I've got my inverter cards and the smart tariff cards. Now this again is configurable, so let's start with that. Go to the menu on the far left side and click Edit your dashboard. Each card can either be the center card or can move up and down the left-hand side. If you click on that right arrow there, it will become the center card, and the arrows pointing up or down will move the position of the card to go up and down this column. If there's a card that you're missing, then scroll all the way to the bottom, find a card that you like, and then click Add. Alternatively, if you'd prefer to remove a card, then find the cross next to it and just click the cross and the card will be removed. After all the changes you've made, make sure to click Save Changes at the top right. Now I have the portal looking how we want, let's go through a few of the cards. Now please note that some of these will have their own knowledge base articles, so they're more in-depth than this overview video. Let's start with the bar along the top. This gives us the information for our solar generation, our home load, the battery status and whether it's charging or discharging and its percentage, and what the grid is doing. Now let's look at one of the cards, starting with the energy graph and clicking on this icon here to make it front and center. The energy graph can display a lot of information daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, or in total by clicking on this drop-down menu and picking whichever you prefer. You can also pick specific time frames by clicking on the calendar icon and then picking the specific dates that you request. Where it says Home, you can click on that drop-down menu and click on anything from generation to battery in, battery out. If you put your mouse over each bar, it will give you the breakdown of each graph so you know exactly what has happened, in this case, on each day. Now let's look at the power graph by clicking on the icon to make it front and center. This graph can be configured by clicking on the drop-down menu where it says battery charge, battery discharge and battery percentage, and either ticking or unticking any field that you want or don't want. If you hover your mouse over the icons at the bottom, it will bring that to the front of the graph so you can highlight just that specific piece of data. If you also hover your mouse over the graph, it will give you the specific data for that exact part of the timeline, so you can get very detailed information for each minute of the day. Now let's scroll down on the side and look at the My Inverter card. This is one that you'll probably interact with the most. The general page will give you the general information of your system, including your warranty expiry date and serial numbers. And if you click on Dongle on the top bar, again, it will give you the details of the Wi-Fi dongle. Clicking on Software will tell you if there are any firmware updates. If there's no button, then you are up to date. Clicking on Notifications will give you any notifications that the system has. And if it says Cleared At, then that means that notification has been and gone. The Settings tab is the one where you can set up the Eco Mode, Time Charge, and depending on your system, you can have multiple charge slots. It's the same for Time Discharge, Timed Export, and then when we get to battery options, this is where you can limit the reserve. So if you've got frequent power cuts, you may want to limit the reserve to something like 20-30%. You can also limit the charge and discharge powers, and don't forget to click Submit. Pause battery is where you can check to see if the battery is paused, or if you do want to pause it, you can do it here. Winter battery conditioning is where you can turn this setting on or off. If you want more details about winter battery conditioning, please see our knowledge base. And Reset to Defaults button, after you click Submit, will just put everything back to blank. So there's no settings for charge, discharge, and if your system is doing something a bit weird and you can't figure out what's going on, this is the button to press. These next tabs are far more detailed than most people would need, but you have System Data, PV Data, And if we scroll along using the arrow on the right hand side, we have battery data, grid data, inverter data, and meter data. Now, on the top right of the My Inverter card are several symbols. We have inverter data, inverter information, inverter meters, and this key one here, remote control. If you click on that, this takes you to this page. It essentially gives you lots of options and information that you won't have anywhere else. For example, if you want to schedule a battery calibration, it's on this page. If you want to check any setting, then click on the refresh arrow that's next to any of the fields to make sure that that setting is indeed in place. You can see all your charge settings, and if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you can see the logs. So if we change this to 14 days, just to give us something to see, and just untick this for a second so you can see the logs that are on my system, it just gives you a bit more information, again, as to what's happened and who's done it. Over to a new card now, making it front and center, the Smart Tariff card. Click Acknowledge as it's still in beta. This is where you can set up the automated tariff card, and once again, this is in more detail in its own knowledge base article. So if you need to know more about the Smart Tariff card, please look at that. Now over to, if you have one, the EV Charger card. This is similar to My Inverter, where you've got General with more information, and the Settings tab where you can change and schedule various settings for charge times. You've also got the Power and Energy graphs to give you more detailed information about your charging habits and how much energy you've used. The final tab is the Notification or Error tab, which, like My Inverter, will tell you if there are any faults and if they've been cleared. If you move your mouse to the left-hand side of the screen, you will get this menu up. And if you click on Account Settings, you can see your details and, if necessary, update them. You can also see a sync button for the inverter time, just in case there's ever an issue when the clocks change. Back to the left-hand side menu again, and at the top is the Notifications tab, where you will see things like the firmware update being started and finished. That's the brief overview of the portal. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.